What would we do without all of these inventions and emerging technologies in the modern world? Just to imagine the human civilization without science is impossible for everyone. And there's no suggestions how the human history would go if there wasn't any people who came out their houses just to see the sky and observe the nature for new knowledge. The problem of being intimidated of literally everything was solved with the help of our ancestors who decided to become a scientist. But not only. That was other thing that was fueled by human curiosity as well, and it's art. Throughout history, art has played a significant role in human development. Yeah, I can agree at first glance, science and art may seem like a disparate entities that lays in the opposite sides of the spectrum, but the truth is that both natural sciences and art itself depends on observing the world around us for seeking understanding or for seeking beauty in case of art. And humans have used the art to depict nature world since prehistoric times. And without all of these like cave paintings, we wouldn't be able to know what was before. And when we would have a closer look there, we'll find a kind of art that mainly serves for science, and it's scientific illustration. Scientific illustration goes way beyond the artwork itself because it's more about communication of all of these hard concepts and details that's hard to describe with language, but it's possible to describe with art. Now I want to switch to one historic period, and you may guess it already, it's Renaissance. I truly appreciate and adore this period of human history because it was just a unique time when all of these fields like art, science, architecture were meshed together and served as a whole for human development. And in case of art and science, the pattern of connection between them mostly looked like this, like new discoveries in science relied on artistic and creative way of thinking, and similarly new way of expressions of art were shaped by all of these scientific inventions and innovations that was there. To give an example, we all know like Galileo Galilei or Johannes Kepler or Isaac Newton, and in majority of cases people know them as scientists, but in the same time they were great writers, musicians, great philosophers. And on the other hand, when we talk about the artists like Leonardo da Vinci or Michelangelo or Claudio Monteverdi, they earned their fame by being artists mostly, or musicians, but they were also inventors or physicians as well. Right now I'm going to distinct one great personality who lived that time and whose heritage we use till nowadays. And his name is Andreas Vesalius, naturalist, founder, and creator of modern anatomy. He was one of the first scientists who learned about human body through dissections. No one did it before just because reason number one, churches were so powerful. Reason number two, church was mainly against all of these like working with dead bodies and so on. I'm going to tell you a bit of biography of Andreas Vesalius, but I'm not going to tell you the story from the very beginning till the very end. Just some facts that you should definitely know about him. He was fond of anatomy since his childhood, so it was his interest and he was genuinely curious about everything that was somehow connected to this subject. But again, he faced so many difficulties because of a lot of restrictions, because he couldn't work with bodies just to learn about the way our body works. So Andreas Vesalius decided to travel to Republic of Venice, attracted by the opportunity to gain more freedom in anatomical research. The University of Padua invited him, and in matter of just couple of years, his medical faculty in that university became one of the most famous medical school in Europe. He became professor just when he was 23, I think. Unfortunately, the end of his story was pretty sad because the Spanish Inquisition began to mercilessly persecute him as a scientist because church accused him that when he was working with all of these dead bodies, he was stabbing the living people, and eventually he was sentenced to death. But right now I'm going to focus more on one of his most famous publication, and maybe you've already heard about this one. And the name of it is On the Fabric of the Human Body in 7 books, or De Humani Corporis Fabrica Libri Septum. It was published in 1543, I think, and that time he was working in this university. So the work consists of nearly 100 pages of fine printing, and it's considered one of the most influential scientific books of all time. Again, these books is based just on lectures given by the author in the University of Padua, and I think it's great compounding effect, right? The work on the fabric of the human body is not just a summary of previous achievements in anatomy, but also a scientific discovery based on new research methods that were of great revolutionary importance in the science that time. He published this monumental work at the age of 28, and after the publication, literally the storm broke out, bringing all of these skepticism and criticisms and people's distrust. But it was not very surprising, since his work refuted so many facts and he found so many mistakes in the teachings of Galen. And Galen was an ancient Roman physician, and his works had a great influence on the medicine at that time. But Andreas Vesalius was not afraid. He was ready to step into the role of being unconventional. It was not just one book, it was a set of books, and it consists of 7 of them. The book number 1 was about bones and cartilages, number 2 about ligaments and muscles, number 3 about veins and arteries, and just imagine, in that book, he listed some 600 vessels in his tabulation of arteries. I can't even learn the names of some of them, and that time, when it was not really easy to have an access to knowledge, he listed almost 600 of them. Book number 4 about the nerves. Book number 5 was about the organs of nutrition. Number 6 about heart and associated organs, and number 7 about the brain. Right now, I'm going to read out loud some of his significant achievements that affected the scientific world that time. Vesalius' most impressive contribution to anatomy is the study of muscles and their visualization in the drawings of his main anatomical treatise. He described the location, fixation points, and functions of every skeletal muscle in the human body. Just imagine every skeletal muscle in the human body. I think it was so hard, and there were so many difficulties to do that, especially that time. The scientists believed that cardiac systole is synchronized with arterial pulse. Vesalius defined the sensory and motor functions of nerves, and it has shaped so many surgeries and scientific researches after him, and that was so hard to do because no one before worked actually with nerves. And like Aristotle, the researcher considered the brain to be the seat of minds, emotion, consciousness, and proved that peripheral nerves come from the brain, not from the heart. Due to the fundamental nature of his research on the variability of skull shapes, he is considered as one of the founders of physical anthropology. The funny fact that his work, De Humani Corporis Fabrica Libri Septum, was illustrated by Titian's student, and all of the poses were allegorical, like this or this one. And right now, me doing longevity focus that requires the basic understanding of anatomy and the way our body works, I'm more than grateful to Andreas Vesalius, who was often found examining excavated bones, or who made Padua criminal court to supply him with corpses of executed criminals. But the main purpose of this video, or the main moral of this story, is not even showing you this connection between art and science, but even though I'm truly fascinated by it, or telling you a story about Andreas Vesalius, it's more about if he found a way to pursue his passion, to do what he's passionate about, why can't we do this? Look at the world right now. We have so many opportunities, and sometimes the number of these opportunities is so big that we can't even see it. We have access to internet, we have so many things right now, and we can do so many things with it, things we are truly interested in. And don't tell me that the end of his story is sad. Yes, I know, Spanish Inquisition chased him, But he seeked a place. He moved to Venice just to be able to conduct all of these experiments. Even the world around considered this thing as not godly and dangerous. He was committed to it, he was passionate about it, and he just decided to work in his present. And who would do it if not him?